Hi, and here we are at lesson 3, and today we're going to follow on from last week and finish off the E ride that we started, looking at the second half to that. And then for the second half of the lesson, we're going to keep to the same chords that we've been covering over the last couple of weeks, but just examine, we're going to do a little bit of work on rhythms, strumming, and to demonstrate that, I'm going to use a new little musical tool called a metronome. So I'm going to be demonstrating that later on. Before you start this lesson, I'd always recommend that you begin with your finger exercise just to get warmed up, and then play through the first half of the E ride that we covered last week. Like I said, that just gets you nicely warmed up and ready for the coming lesson. I'm going to play through the E ride again without the backing track. You can, if you want to go back and listen to the full instrumental with the backing track, then you're welcome to do so. But I'm just going to play through it nice and slowly, the full version. And then we're going to break the second half down and learn that second half for you to put with the first. Okay, so here we go. The entire instrumental first of all. Okay, without further ado then, here we are with the second half. And it begins, the second half begins as we began the whole instrumental, with two open notes on the bottom E, followed by the third and the fourth fret on that same string, using your first and second fingers. But this is where we change positions, so it's going to be slightly more difficult than the first page, because we're actually moving positions with our fret in hand. Okay, so the first little line goes like this: open, open, 3, 4, then 2 open again, and this time I'm going to play frets 5, 6 and 7 with my first finger taking the 5th fret, my second finger taking the 6th, and my third finger taking the 7th. So we're going to play. 5 notes on that 7th fret. So the first line of the new part goes like this. Okay, then we're changing position again back to the 3rd, 4th and 5th frets. Again, 1 open note before we move. 3, 4, 5, then an open note, followed by 2 notes on the 3rd fret. So again, putting that together up to there. And then we play 2 open notes to 3, 4 again, 2 open notes again, moving positions once more, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Okay, so I'll just play that second part one time all the way through, and it should sound like this. I'll take it nice and slow. now when you get to that point, I'd like you to repeat back right from the beginning and play all the way through again. So we're going to play through the whole piece twice. And when you played it twice through, then you're just going to finish on an open E. So that the piece of music sounds finished. We always, well, not always, but 90% of the time we start and finish on the same note and the same chord if we're playing chords. So it just makes the whole piece sound finished. So again, last time through. Finish there on your open E string. A few things to try and avoid or watch out for when you're playing this, because we've got position changes. You've got to make sure you get your fingering absolutely right. Okay, so some little common mistakes that you could fall into would be this. Where, you know, forgot to change my position there to my first finger. First finger is going to lead that position change onto the 5, 6, and 7th frets. Okay, so just watch, make sure you get your fingering exactly as it's written out there. And as always before, we have done before, take it nice and slow. Keep all those notes nice and even. Don't cut them short. Okay, keep them held on for the full value of the notes so that they move through nice and smoothly. And then practice the whole thing through, gradually speeding up. And I'll also be providing with you a backing track to work towards. Doesn't matter if it takes you a couple of weeks to get up to that speed, but always try and work towards it and aim to get up to that kind of speed. Okay, and on to the second half of the lesson now, and we're going to do a little bit of chord work, like I said at the beginning. We're going to use the 12-bar chord sequence that we've used in the last lesson. I'll just play through it again. If you remember, we're only using down strums. Okay, nice, keeping a steady rhythm with the down strums, nice and even, and it went like this. Okay, now don't worry about those chord changes if there's still a little bit of gap between each chord. That's going to happen. The first thing to do is to make sure that you memorise those chord shapes, those A, D and E major chord shapes. Once you've memorised those, the changes should become to get a little bit quicker. And in the coming weeks, as we go through next week, I'm going to showing you a few little strategies to be able to change those chords a little bit quicker. At the moment, we're just finding your feet, getting the shapes, memorizing the shapes, and then, like I said, we can get on to how to change those chords a bit quicker. Today, for today's lesson, I'm going to be doing a little bit of work on this strumming hand, and we're going to introduce the up strum as well today, and a little bit of rhythm work, and explain how rhythms are put together and the rules that we need to apply. And like I said, I'm going to use what's called a metronome to introduce you to some of those techniques. Okay, now the up strum can feel a little bit like going against the grain. It's a little bit awkward to begin with. So you can practice this, like I said in the first lesson. When we're strumming chords, we use like a brush stroke, nice light brush stroke, keeping your forearm nice and relaxed and your wrist nice and relaxed. And then you can practice this without any chords down, just brushing the strings, coming back up as an upstroke after the downstroke. And again, try and avoid, a kind of wooden. That could help to begin with, but gradually just refine that strumming so it's nice and light, and that will improve as you go. Once you've had a little go at that, introduce a chord. And I suggest we introduce the E chord, because it is strummed over all 6 strings, so we can strum all 6 strings on the E chord. So get your E chord in position, and then listen to how it sounds with the upstroke included with it. Now, the important thing to understand about the down and up strums is that they have to come at a certain time within the rhythm structure. Now, what I mean by that is the down strums are on what we call the beat. So when we're counting, as we've counted in the last few weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the down strums come right on that count, on each of the counts 1 to 4. The up strum comes in between each of those counts, which is what we call the offbeat. Okay, so this time we're going to be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so not 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the upstrum comes on the offbeat in between each count. So we count an and for the upstroke, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so as I said, I can demonstrate the theory behind the strumming and the rhythms by using a metronome. I've got one up here. It's an analog metronome, which basically I can set it to a certain speed, which we call beats per minute. So, for example, if I set it here to 60 beats per minute, that's 1 beat a second, and then it clicks away. Like so. And we can set that to different speeds. I'm going to set it for today's demonstration purposes. I'm going to set it to 80 beats per minute. So on each of those clicks, I'm going to play a downstroke or down strum. Okay, so like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, actually, I'm going to slow that down. That's a little bit quick for our demonstration purposes today. So I'm going to go back to 60 beats per minute as we initially demonstrated. Okay, so that's what we call a tempo. Slow that right down, 60 beats per minute. And on each of those clicks, I'm going to place a down strum. Okay, so like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as I was saying, the upstroke comes in between those beats. So we always play the upstroke in between, which is what we call the offbeat. So the upstroke will come in between, like so. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so when we put the metronome alongside our 12-bar chord progression that we learnt last week, it'll sound like this. Now, I wouldn't expect you at this stage to be able to play all the way through with the metronome, keeping it in time and introducing the upstrum. All I'm doing there is just demonstrating how important it is to keep in time. If you're playing in a band or eventually hope to play in a band, then you obviously got to play in time with all the other instrumentalists and percussionists. And so that's why it's really important to have a really good sense of timing. We'll be doing a lot of work on that, but you're welcome to give that a little go with the metronome. Just initially, just try the up and down strums. Just stick on one chord to begin with and try and get that sense of timing. And you can speed up or slow down the metronome to suit your own ideal tempo. But then experiment with different tempos as well. Speed it up once you've got the chords moving along nice and smoothly. By all means, try speeding it up. But a great musical tool is a metronome, and we'll be using it a lot in the coming weeks. Okay then, so your practice schedule for this week. Like I said at the beginning of the lesson, always begin with your little finger exercise. Get yourselves warmed up and in the zone to deal with all the new stuff. Then obviously go on and work through the second part of the ear ride. Put it all together then and play it as one whole instrumental. See how you get on. Keep it nice and slow and gradually speed up as you gain confidence. And then for your chord practice, it's introducing that all-important upstrum into the equation. And by all means, first of all, just practice it on the strings. You don't need to hold the chord down. It won't sound very nice, but just practice introducing that upstrum. Then come on to the E chord. Practice on over 6 strings, and then introduce that upstrum into your 12-bar chord progression that we worked on last week, and then give it a go with a metronome. Either you can use a one on Google, or you can obtain one from any good music shop if you like the idea of an analog one, which will look good on your desk as well. Either's great. They're just there to keep time, and look forward to seeing you next week.